tonight. 3 ways down. A rope specialist stranded on a dying rope 100 meters over nothing. A diving machine that fed a man his own breath, 1 degree richer every minute. And a corridor 18 inches wide with a stranger at the far end of it. Cavern Depth, Episode 3. On the cold, wet morning of October 9th, 2013, Mara Voss stood in frost-stiff grass and listened to the wind pour over the lip of the deepest cave on earth, a sound she would later describe, once the mountain was finished with her, as a kettle that never stops. Veryovkina runs 2,212 meters deep. 7,257 feet of shafts stacked on shafts sunk into the Arabika Massif. Her team of 3 had permits for 6 days. Mara had taught high school physics in Dresden for a decade, and her helmet carried 2 names in faded ink. Her daughters, who thought their mother collected rocks. She hauled 90 meters of 11mm rope across her chest and ran her checklist by touch, twice. The pitch the team called the long drop was a free hang, 155 meters where the rope touches no wall and no ledge. A drop of stale black air with Mara on a single strand of nylon in the middle of it. She was 40 meters down the hang, the descender hissing rope through its bars. And that is the moment the descent stopped being routine. Suddenly, her light crossed something that should not exist. A pale bulge in the sheath below her, where rockfall had chewed the rope's skin and left the white core grinning through. Descending past a core shot on a single rope is not bravery. It is arithmetic with 1 wrong number. Mara locked off and hung still, and the shaft did what deep shafts do. It took the sound of her breathing and gave nothing back. So she converted to climb. Descender off, chest ascender on, hand jammer above it, feet in the loop. On her second stroke upward, the cam in her chest ascender cracked, a clean metallic snap like a knuckle, and the toothed wheel that gripped the rope spun loose in its housing. Now the arithmetic inverted all at once. The rope was dying. The cam was dead. She was trapped. No way down. 115 meters of air hung below her boots. 60 meters above her head, in the warm yellow circle of a camp stove, water was boiling for 3 people who believed she was fine. Here is what a harness does to a motionless body. The leg loops squeeze the veins of the legs shut. Within about 20 minutes, blood pools where gravity wants it. The medical term is suspension trauma, and its clock is crueler than cold. Hang still, for some people less than 40 minutes, and the brain runs out of blood. Unconsciousness first, then, quietly, the rest. Mara knew the clock. She pedaled her legs against the void as if riding a bicycle no one had built, and every few minutes the numbness climbed anyway, from ankles to knees, patient as water. The cave was 2 degrees Celsius, 36 Fahrenheit. Her jaw began to stutter on minute 30. And still, she would tell people this later, and they never believed her. The shaft was beautiful. Her headlamp swung, and the walls answered with a soft crystal glow. Gypsum flowers blooming in slow wonder. A garden 40 stories under the meadow. Lovely and calm and patient. For 1 full minute, she hung in the middle of that gentle light and let the beauty hold her weight. Then a stone the size of a fist fell out of the dark above, struck the wall twice, crack, crack, and sparked past her shoulder. 38 minutes on the harness clock, and a margin thinner than the rope. A rock that size, at that speed, kills. The rockfall that had crushed the sheath was not finished. Her whistle blasts went up the shaft, 3, then 3 again, thin as a kettle in all that dark. Lena Brandt heard the third set. What happened next took 19 minutes, and Mara, still trapped, still pedaling, heard it all before she saw any of it. Dato anchored a fresh rope to the rebelay bolts and threaded it through a pulley. Lena clipped a progress capture beneath it, rigged a counterweight, and lowered herself down the new line with a knife and a spare ascender. At minute 51 of the hang, Lena reached her. She clipped Mara's harness to the fresh rope, transferred her weight across, and cut the cracked ascender free. One stroke, the snap of webbing. Done. Above them, Dato hauled, 2 meters at a time, the pulley ticking like a slow clock. Somewhere in that ascent, the panic Mara had held off for an hour finally arrived, and she let it come. She kept her legs moving. She had stopped feeling them at the knees. 70 minutes after the sheath first grinned at her, Mara lay at the pitch head, boots up on a rope bag, sipping sweet tea while Lena counted her pulse out loud. The damaged rope came up after her. Mara still rigs most weekends, teaching rope craft to people who have never hung from anything, though she has never gone back to the deepest cave on Earth. She starts every course the same way, by passing around a length of 11mm rope with a pale bulge in the sheath, and letting each student hold the number that almost subtracted her. 40 minutes, and a clock that starts without asking. March 3rd, 2009. A little after 7 in the morning, and Tomás Rivera stood on the dive platform watching the surface of El Zacatón steam. The sinkhole breathes like that at dawn. Warm mineral water under cool air. A round green eye 100 meters across. Floating islands of grass drifting on it like unhurried thoughts. It is the deepest water-filled sinkhole known on Earth. 319 meters straight down, over 1,000 feet. And no diver has ever touched the floor and lived on their own breath. Tomás Rivera was 41 years old, and he had surveyed flooded caves across Mexico for the better part of 2 decades. His wife called the machine on his back his other marriage. It was a rebreather, a closed loop that recycles every exhale, scrubs out the carbon dioxide with a canister of soda lime, adds a whisper of oxygen, and hands the breath back. On a good day, it gives a diver hours where open tanks give minutes. That morning's plan was modest by his standards. Drop to 70 meters, 230 feet, hang a new survey line off the south wall, photograph the sulfur ridges, and come home in 90 minutes, door to door. Ana Cortez ran his checklist with him twice, and twice the machine passed. He dropped through the warm green light, the loop clicking softly, oxygen hissing its whisper doses into the hose. And that is the moment the dive stopped being routine, though Tomás would not know it for another 20 minutes. Somewhere in the scrubber canister, the soda lime had settled on the truck ride in, and a channel had opened along the casing wall. A thin, invisible seam where his exhaled breath could slip through unscrubbed. It was already killing him, patiently, and nothing on his wrist knew. Carbon dioxide is not like running out of air. There is no gauge for it on his wrist, no needle sliding toward zero. Divers call it the quiet gas. It rides back to you inside your own breath, and the first symptom of too much is the feeling that you are suffocating, that you must breathe harder, the body panicking blindly, which pushes more gas through the failed canister, which returns more of it again. A loop inside the loop. Interest. Compounding. At 70 meters, the wall was beautiful. Sulfur-white ridges glowing soft and lovely under his lights. The water so clear and calm, the beam seemed to travel forever. Tomas tied off the survey line, checked his watch, 26 minutes, and felt the first wrongness arrive as something small. The sense that his last breath hadn't quite finished. Then the arithmetic of the quiet gas began to pound in the dark, like debt, and his breathing rate climbed with the deadly work of every breath. A headache lit behind his eyes like a filament, and the blood began to roar in his ears. He breathed harder, and the gas came back richer. Every rebreather diver trains for this, and the training is one word long. Bailout. Spit out the loop, switch to the open tank on your hip, breathe honest gas. But carbon dioxide plays a cruel trick on that plan. It narrows thought and cuts vision down to a swaying tunnel. The drill was 3 moves. His hands could hold 2. The regulator was right there. His fingers were wrong. The clip was stuck. Panic arrived. 31 minutes into the dive, 70 meters down, Tomas got the bailout regulator into his mouth on the 3rd attempt. And instead of still and letting the clean gas rinse him clear, he did what the gas told him to do and swam for the light as hard as his legs would fire. The hammering effort held the carbon dioxide high while the pressure fell away, and somewhere near 40 meters, 130 feet, the tunnel of his vision closed the rest of the way. The physiologists have a dry phrase for it: CO2-induced loss of consciousness. The loop slipped from his lips. The lake kept rising past him, warm and green and bright. Anna saw the bubbles change rhythm and went in off the platform with a mask and a stage bottle. She met him at 11 meters, drifting, already drowning inside his own machine. She did everything right, sealed the regulator against his slack mouth, held his airway open, rode the ascent to the light. She had him on the grass 19 minutes after his last clear thought. It was not enough. Tomas Rivera died that morning, on the grass beside the water that had been steaming when he arrived. The doctors in Ciudad Victoria used gentler words, but the mechanism fit in one sentence: his own breath, returned to him too many times. El Zacatón is still the deepest water-filled sinkhole on Earth. Divers still come, and the ones who dive machines now pack their scrubbers on site, by hand, because of stories like this one. 31 minutes, 70 meters, a seam in a canister thinner than a survey line. The quiet gas does not announce itself. It just keeps the change. Press your palms against cold, damp stone, 18 inches apart. On the evening of June 14, 2011, the phone in Nika Merrill's kitchen rang about a corridor exactly that wide. A passage through the 3rd longest cave on Earth, with a man wedged deep inside it, 5 hours from the nearest road, in rock that holds itself at 9 degrees Celsius. Jewel Cave runs under the Black Hills of South Dakota like a second set of roots. More than 200 mapped miles, and by every survey, most of it still unfound. Nika was 29 years old and the smallest member of the county's volunteer cave rescue team. She had trained for 6 years for a call like this, and her father still believed the helmet in her truck was for cycling. The man in the corridor was Sam Okafor, a surveyor mapping a new lead off the tour routes. He had pushed a flattener the survey book called Postbox and stopped, chest down, arms forward, in a slot of dolomite that accepted his inhale and declined his exhale. His partner spent 4 hours crawling out to make the call. 12 people went in that night. Only one of them was ever going to reach him. The team moved Nika through the cave like a tool they were carrying to a job. Packs relayed hand to hand, her body budgeted, her calories counted. Then they reached the mouth of postbox, and that is the moment the call-out stopped being routine. The passage shrank to the width of a license plate, and everyone else's shoulders became architecture, useful for hauling rope, useless to the man trapped beyond it. Jewel Cave holds itself at about 9 degrees Celsius, 49 Fahrenheit, forever. A pinned human in contact with rock that cold does not have days. Heat drains through stone faster than through air. The core temperature slides, and somewhere below 35 degrees, the shivering stops, which sounds like mercy and is the opposite. Sam was deep into that slide when Nika first heard him breathe. She went into postbox with her arms out in front of her like a diver, helmet off, cheek to the floor. The rock took her exhale the way it had taken his. 9 hours he had been folded there when, 8 meters in, her light found his boots. His voice had worsened to a slow slur, sanded flat by. His right hand, when she found it past his hip, was the temperature of the rock. Then it got worse. Every exhale, the slot let him settle 1 paper width deeper, the geometry eating him breath by breath. Her first job was heat, not rock. She fed a heat pack down his collar and rigged a webbing loop to his ankles. Hour 10. The cold was the clock now, and cold like that kills quietly, stealing blood from the hands first, and it did not care that everyone was finally in position. Behind her, where the team waited, the passage opened into a chamber the survey book had never bothered to name. Calcite crystals lined it like the inside of a geode, a soft, lovely glow when the lamp swung, beautiful and wholly indifferent. Rescuers tell you they don't notice the cave on a call-out. All of them notice. And while they noticed, Sam's core dropped 1 more degree. 10 hours in the rock now, and Sam was sliding blackout in the dark. His radio checks dead twice in a row. Then the flake under his chest shifted with a crack like a knuckle, and the slot found a new 1/8 of an inch. He was stuck, breathing shallow, fading now. He made a sound Nika still hears in quiet rooms. Not a scream, something smaller. The plan passed up the line was 3 moves. Chisel the lip off the flake, grease him, actual silicone grease, half a tube along his ribs, and pull on his exhale, never his inhale. Nika worked the hand chisel in strokes the length of a matchstick. Ping, ping, scrape, because a drill in that slot could bring the ceiling's opinion into it. Twice the chisel slipped, and the second heat pack ran cold against his chest before the lip started to move. It took 40 minutes of matchstick strokes before the lip of the flake finally let go. She called the count. 3, 2, 1, exhale. And 4 people she could not see hauled the webbing through the dark. Sam moved 4 inches and screamed. Then 6 more. Then his chest came past the pinch with a wet scrape of nylon on stone, and the slot was suddenly just a hole again. Geology, not a death sentence. They passed him out of the cave the way they had passed the packs in, hand to hand. 17 hours after his last dry breath of surface air. He came out hypothermic, with cracked ribs and frost-nipped fingers. But he came out alive. The corridor called Postbox was gated the following spring. Now hold your hands apart one more time. 18 inches, 9 degrees, 12 hours in the third longest cave on Earth. That was the whole equation, and it balanced by less than the width of a chisel stroke. How narrow would a passage have to be before you stopped crawling toward a stranger? Most people are lucky. Most people never find out.